Paul, thank you for your time. It's nice to see you.
It's a pleasure to be here, Neil. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, to our audience members tuning in, this is not a newly listed on the CSE clip. This is an update on an existing issuer. 1933 Industries is the issuing company, and I am virtually talking to Mr. Paul Rosen. Paul is the CEO for those who know him. Paul, I saw your news out this week. We want to talk a little bit about that, but why don't we start with a brief summary on how 2021 ended for the company?
I'd love to. Thanks so much, and hello to everybody out there. I'm going to say 2021 was somewhat of a transformative year for 1933. I would acknowledge that a year ago, the company, really even over the last year and a half, the company had some meaningful challenges that are very well known to many operators in the cannabis industry. Some of it was balance sheet engineering that needed to be rectified, which was really a large accomplishment in 2021, is getting our balance sheet, our cash vis-a-vis our debt in a much healthier position. We've accomplished that. A key part of 2021 was really some staffing changes in a company. At the end of the day, all companies are people and process at the end of the day. And I feel that we've done a great job recruiting some senior leadership in key positions in our company, whether it's in cultivation, in manufacturing, or in sales. We've recruited meaningful experience, and I would even argue sometimes best-in-class executives to help improve the day-to-day of this company. And so 2021 was an important year to stabilize the company, to improve the process and the people that are in charge of delivering an exceptional product to the market, and to get our balance sheet in a point where we can start thinking about growth rather than where we were in the last year, which is kind of on our heels and thinking about more to sort of like defensive moves. And I'm really optimistic that 2022 is going to begin to reflect a lot of the developments that I can see happening on a day-to-day basis, but of course take a little while to find their way into improved financial reporting.
Paul, it seems like 2022 started with you've had a strong start, especially when it comes to news this year. So I want to talk a little bit about your recent LOI that was announced. It's a LOI with a CBD beverage company called Day One Beverages. So how did this transaction come about? Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've actually known the Day One management team for a couple of years. They had a presence in California, sort of a soft launch about a year and a half ago, had a fair amount of promise, and then needed to go through a little bit of their own corporate reorg. But I have known their CEO for a couple of years, and I really hold Chris Clifford, who is the CEO of Day One, in the highest esteem. Day One is not a new face to the CBD category. The brand has really kind of resurrected at a very opportune time with the passing of what is called AB 45, which is essentially the state of California's to allow the introduction of CBD into beverages and food, i.e. into ingestibles. Now, the FDA has not said yes or no yet to whether CBD can go into food or beverage, but not unlike the cannabis industry, 24 states have declared, if you will, safe harbor for the introduction of CBD into food and beverage. And we take a lot of comfort in Secor that those 24 states are largely presaging what's going to happen in the broader industry. What we see about Day One and what we're so excited about in 1933 is we are anticipating mass adoption from all channels of trade in 2022. The branding is simple and straightforward, as we're a premium enhanced sparkling water. The dosage is perfect at 20 milligrams per can, and we are offering the most competitive pricing economics in the market. This is a recipe, in our opinion, for category disruption, and we expect Day One to quickly become a national brand in the fast-growing CBD beverage space.
It's one of the fastest growing segments of the cannabis space. Now, I know 1933 has a CBD company called Canahan. How does Day One and this LOI align with your current CBD company? There must be some synergies, right?
There is an abundance of synergies, I'm happy to say. So the areas of distinction is Day One is a beverage product, if you will. I don't really anticipate them developing a full suite of integrated CBD products like topicals and relief balms and tinctures. I see them really focusing on their key go-to-market. They have a world-class distribution team with years of experience in senior management at some of the top beverage companies in America, including Red Bull, Bang Energy. And we really see Day One operating very much in the beverage category. On the other hand, we see massive synergies between what Day One is doing and what CanAmp is doing. I'm anticipating that Day One will open up retail distribution channels that CanAmp products may likely be able to follow a path towards. I'm also seeing that CanAmp and really Infused Manufacturing, which is the parent company of CanAmp, will be able to actually assist Day One in manufacturing certain products that they can take to market under their brand. I'll also say that the management teams have found real strong working relationships where we're starting to see an improvement in sort of our digital strategy go-to-market. Say Day One is really staffed by some pretty brilliant 20 and 30-year-olds. We'll call them millennials and Gen Xers. And no disrespect to people of my age, but no one's going to hire Paul Rosen to unleash a social digital strategy right now. But I'm really, really impressed with the literacy and the bona fides of the Day One's management team, not just to help blow Day One up to become hopefully one of the leading CBD beverages in the world, but also to help improve some of the deliverables that CanAmp is working towards.
I love that sort of breakdown. Now, I think you might have, you probably touched on some of these points in my next two questions, but maybe there's something else that we haven't touched on. Now, how does Day One differentiate from some of the other CBD beverage companies that are in market?
Yeah, we were fortunate to have a great deal of support from some relatively powerful constituencies, like, for example, in California, LAD, the second or largest beverage distributor in the state of California. And they are forecasting that Day One is going to become a dominant brand in this category for pretty straightforward reasons. One is the brand is like, the can is beautiful, it's simple, it's beautifully designed. It's, really speaks that hidden language of design. The price point is going to become I think one of the lower price entries at retail. The MSRP on a can of Day One is $2.95 in the store. And that is a very, in our opinion, most competitive economics in the market. And this combination of the high quality of the product, its delicious taste, its perfect dosing, and its unique unit economics, really, we share this along with our distributors. We think it is going to dominate because of all of these factors. Something else that I think is quite important is our recent licensing deal with United States Pickleball Association. Now, pickleball, for those that may not be aware, is literally the fastest growing sport in America. And it's, for example, where I'm in Los Angeles right now, LA County by edict is converting half their tennis courts in all of LA County to pickleball courts. That's because the tennis courts are empty and the pickleball courts are packed. Not only is it hugely popular in a senior demographic, which largely would embrace CBD as a pain relief or as a recovery, but it also trends very well in celebrity culture. Vanity Fair wrote an article last month, essentially under the title, "What do Leonardo DiCaprio and your grandparents have in common?" It's pickleball. So we see and we've signed a 3-year licensing deal. We are the exclusive CBD partner with United States Pickleball Association. We're actually, Day One is at an event this week sponsored by USPBA in Boca Raton, Florida, a large professional tournament where we're mingling with some of the top pickleball players in the world. ESPN's covering the event in Boca Raton right now, and we are just thrilled at the co-branding opportunities that we're going to be able to do with pickleball. And we think that going after their community or working in conjunction with their community really in and of itself more than justifies this acquisition, never mind the incredible distribution channels that Day One is already building. So we think that this is the pickleball licensing deal is really quite dynamic, quite unique, and we are positing that it's going to create incredible opportunities both in mainstream retail, big box retail, as well as in our DTC channels.
I like how you touched on some of the stuff there with this partnership. Staying on topic, I want to talk about what this partnership entails. So what are the details of it?
Quite a few things, actually. So at a sort of a general level, we are, of course, have exclusive use for the CBD category to use the USPBA trademarks. More significantly, we're going to launch a product in a sort of a co-launch, if you will. It'll be launched by day one, but it will have the support of USPBA. USPBA loves the beverage, but is also aware that their user base, and they have 90,000 members in the United States Pickleball Association. One of the products that we're anticipating we're going to be able to do in conjunction with USPBA that we're anticipating to have massive uplift is a topical relief cream, which is a product that CannaHemp has been making under various iterations for years. It's probably our best rated product. We'll, of course, create a custom formulation, but we do think that the relationship here isn't so much that we can hang up a little trophy in our case and say we are the official sponsor, but rather we're seeing USPBA really wanting to lean into this partnership and really wanting to help build unit economics to turn the partnership into fast-growing, high-demand CPG products, the beverage being one, the topical being another, and our contract with USPBA incentivizes USPBA to really lean into this. And they're I will say, they're really into this. They're not looking at this as like, great, thanks for the check. They're looking at it as how can we build business units that are mutually accretive, and how can we continue to service our membership base, which is really what USPBA ultimately is tasked with, is delivering good outcomes for their members, whether it's on the court or after they've left the court.
1933 also announced and released first quarter financials. You want to give us maybe some quick highlights on what was included in there?
Yeah, my high level is obviously, anyone that's been watching our QOQ financials for the last couple of years, say 6 quarters, will see obvious balance sheet improvements, debt v cash, obviously much better now. We'll see primarily, though, a incredible discipline around the expense side of our business. And so we have continued to aggressively attack our GS&A in a way that in no way compromises the growth of the business. We're at a point now where we're spending less to produce more, which is ultimately an important measurement. I feel that there's still work to be done in this company. Like all cannabis companies, you have to continually sort of play that game of whack-a-mole where you're always problem solving in the cannabis industry. It's just a fact. I'm sure every CEO that has the courage to admit will concur. You're never not problem solving, and that's probably true of business. But I do feel that while you can't entirely see it on the most recent financial reporting, at a more micro level, everything is lining up to anticipate a meaningful growth in our revenue in 2022, a meaningful growth in our EBITDA in 2022, and largely, I think, in conjunction with CannaHemp in day one, beginning to work towards more of a national platform for some of our brands. So my view of 2021 was an extremely important year to help, if you will, repair the garden, work on what it is we're doing. I don't mean the actual garden 1933. I mean at a macro level, like all gardens need sunlight, they need water, and they need to be de-weeded. And to take that analogy, I can see at an operational level the culture at our company, the unification of all the departments, and the quality of people that we brought in to lead key departments has never been better. And I know from my lengthy entrepreneurial career that when you get the right people, the right culture, and the right intention, usually you get the right outcome. So I see 2021 as a very important year. While it may not show up entirely on our reporting, if we become the company that I believe we can become and will become, while 2021 won't be the year where people said that was where the real turnaround happened, it is the year that the real turnaround happened. And now we have a stable enough platform and enough confidence in the future to actually make an acquisition. That's a telling sign about where my head's at, because I'm not looking to do deals approvals just to issue a press release. I have to really believe that we have the stable platform and the right management team to get full value out of an acquisition, which is somewhat dilutive to our shareholders. So to me, that's the greatest signal about where I think we're going, that I would have the confidence in our current operation to take on the additional enterprise of acquiring day one. So I'm feeling real good about where we are, but I will go back to Vegas on Monday. I go there every 2 weeks or so. And the moment you think that you can take your eyes off the road will surprise you by twisting and turning in a direction you were not anticipating. So I'm feeling okay about 2021. I do hope that in 2022, I'll be able to point to financial results to say this is the result of all the hard work that maybe wasn't transparent last year.
Yeah. And are there any other milestones that you're able to talk about for 2022?
I mean, like every other public CEO that is in this industry, my monomaniacal focus is on profitability this year and cash flow profitability. So I do think you'll see announcements from our company over the next few months that will continue to inform the market about how we're doing on our balance sheet, how we're doing at an operational level. But really right now, our commitment here is to increasing our top line, continuing to sharpen our expense side, and crossing over from almost profitable to profitable this year. And that really is the ultimate KPI for all of our companies.
Perfect, Paul. You want to give us a little bit of an update on the Las Vegas landscape, tourism, market conditions?
Yeah, it's not, I was at that event as well, and that was peak Vegas, if you will. And then CES was also slower because of Omicron. There's that. Vegas is not, right? Today I was there last week. It was quieter than I'm used to seeing. BDSA has shown some macro reporting data that the Vegas cannabis market has shrunk a little bit from its peak. And after people started returning to the workplace and not working from home, there was a bit of a pullback. I see it as short term, but largely I would say that 1933 has been doing a pretty good job moving its revenue in the right direction. So we're, while overall the market is promising and in some sense one of the most healthy markets in the United States, I don't think tourism is at an all-time high right now. Going again, as I mentioned, I was just checking hotel prices this morning. They're still pretty affordable. I think generally, though, also January is not a busy month in Las Vegas for tourism. I think the real tourism season starts February, March, and there is a widespread consensus in the Nevada cannabis economy that we're going to have a very strong spring, a very strong summer. And there are some sort of force multipliers out there that are going to slowly improve, or I should say increase the total addressable market. One is that Las Vegas is bringing in, and Nevada is bringing in consumption lounges that will grow the market. And inevitably, we're going to see more resale points, more dispensaries. Nevada has a relatively small amount of dispensaries for its population when you price in tourism. It has really, I think, about 105 dispensaries, more or less, across the whole state, which is a fraction of what Colorado has, even though with tourism, Las Vegas or Nevada has a larger population. So these are all the opportunities that are in front of us. I'll give you a score. The market right now in Vegas is about a B. Looking forward to getting it back to an A.
Got it. Well, Paul, I really appreciate you taking the time to join myself and our audience members, talk a little bit about 1933's recent news release announcing the LOI with Day One Beverages, which is a CBD cannabis beverage company. And of course, like always, we look forward to having you back on when you have more news out to talk a little bit about what the company has accomplished in 2022. Again, to everybody watching, I'm Anil Mall. I represent the Canadian Securities Exchange, and you've been listening to Mr. Paul Rosen. He is the CEO of 1933 Industries. Paul, best of luck to you and your team, and thank you again for your time. Thank you for tuning in to another newly listed on the CSE. Please feel free to hit like and share this content, and hit subscribe if you haven't already.